he could have easily reached out to me. Clearly, he knows I'm the athlete's rep. He's mentioned it 100 times now, right?
Well, they're saying that you're
didn't he
not the
pick up the
athlete's rep.
phone?
That's like they're saying Bob's not the athlete's rep. He's never done anything for the athletes. Is he official?
Well,
Is there official number? Like, is there official thing to do with yeah,
first of all,
are you officially the athlete's rep? Is that
I
your
have been the
ordained?
athlete's rep for 20 years now, or whatever it is, probably more,
Okay.
but whatever it is, it is. As for those sitting there saying stupid things, like they're just completely ignorant. Bob's never done anything for the athlete. How would they even know? And Phil said this, and his wife even said this. Again, two people that would have no clue. Wait, he didn't have the guts. He didn't have the guts to come on my show. As they called me and Shawn cowards, and then we invited them on, and then he didn't want to come on. So I just want to make that perfectly clear out there to everybody watching that he was invited on to we could have hashed out all this stuff. We could have had a good time doing it and gotten to the bottom line of whatever he wanted to get on, but he didn't want to do it because he was a coward. But I've gotten letters that I've written of recommendation. I've gotten athletes back in the league, most notably a guy you might remember named Preist.
Yes.
He likes to wax all day long that he's been banned for life, and all, which is complete bullshit. He's not banned for life. I wrote his reinstatement letter. You know who didn't have anything to do with it and didn't want anything to do with it? Preist.
Okay.
Preist. We had a meeting at the Arnold that year, which I had rented. I got in a room from Jim Lorimer to have athletes show up, and Lee was sitting on a table right outside the room, literally right outside, with his feet dangling like a little kid, like on a couch. That's what he was doing. You could ask him this. Again, he doesn't lie, allegedly, so he can tell you the story. He had Big Mouth Lee, right? Always speaking up, always for the athletes, all this. He couldn't be bothered because he was only interested in his own self at that point, which unfortunately most of the athletes were.
Have they overlooked athletes in the past?
No, listen, I routinely disagree with the judges. And when we sit there and say things like...
So I'm disagreeing, Bob. Is that the end of the world? Can I not have an opinion?
Man, let me explain.
I'm stating my opinion, Bob.
Bro, let me explain.
And you don't seem to like it. You're really pissed off that I'm stating my opinion. So, in your eyes, Nick Walker, can he ever win the Mr. Olympia?
In my opinion, no.
Yes.
Freak to get on stage, and he's got to hope that the champ comes in a little off. If Keone leaves the door open, then Shawn Clarida will knock it down. Top six, almost indisputably. Derek, Hottie, Samson, Andrew Jack, Derek, Hottie, Samson, Andrew Jack, Nick, Brandon Beirut, because I don't even know if the guy's going to be in the Olympics.
Yeah.
If Beirut, assuming he's in,
yeah,
and I'm also assuming that Rami is out because I haven't heard anything from Rami.
Yeah, I think he's out
to indicate that he's competing. So let's just say he's out, and let's just say Beirut is in. If Beirut is in, he kicks one of those guys out of the top six.
Again, Bob, man, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely would love to do it again. And
you got it, bro.
Everything's cool between me and you, okay?
You got it.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Muscle Discord. And man, look who I got on my show, Mr. Bob Cicherillo. Man, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on, even though, we have our back and forth and all that. But at the end of the day, I always say it's all in good fun. We like to debate. We have these platforms. We get to say what we want to say, and we can have a discussion. So thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Matt, right? It is Matt.
Yes, that is Matt. That is my name. Yes.
Gotcha.
Matt.
Okay, I don't want to...
No, we gotta make sure we get the name right.
That was not intended as a diss. I literally just didn't remember your name when we were putting the show together. No disrespect intended, my friend, but
awesome.
That's okay.
It's all good.
That's why I'm here to clear up some of these things that have come out, the bullshit that's come of this Phil Clahar interview that you put on, and I got to be honest, and I got to give Phil credit for this. He has a distinction of being the only guy in bodybuilding history that's been talked about this much for being in last place at a show.
That's true. I'll give you that one. That is true, Bob. Yes. Yes, he has. And I mean, okay, well, let's just dive into it. Okay, I want to keep it. I
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah,
be
bring it
here
on,
all
bro.
day.
Bring it on.
So I guess the first thing was about the comments that you and Shawn made about
Mhm.
Phil and how he looked at the show, and you kind of called me out because I wasn't at the show. So how dare I give my assessment on Phil when I'm not at the
Well,
show?
well,
And
hang
then
on right there. Let me just
yeah,
interject as you go because
yeah.
I never called you out for not being at the show, and I don't believe Shawn did either. And we weren't at the
Well,
show.
yeah, no, that's so let's just give the people some
But
context. Obviously,
we actually said, and I didn't
yeah,
timestamp it, but if you go
yeah,
back and watch,
yeah.
we actually said we weren't at the show.
We'll just watch it here. So people have context to what we're talking about here. But
Awesome.
let me share
So,
here. So
but yeah, there was never
yeah,
any diss of like you weren't there. We didn't care whether you were
yeah,
there or not.
yeah. Let's just play it and get into it here.
There we
Okay, so
go.
let's see what you guys said here. So just so it's full
Bring in the
context.
I
receipts.
wasn't looking.
Okay.
Clearly, he was looking. He knew he was there.
Sorry, let me get
And
it.
you can't give so much emphasis on one person. Is that where you're going to focus your attention? Is on the head judge and then blame the head judge for not getting in the first call out? Look, man, look at your pictures. Go back and compare who you were standing next to. Even if they bumped you up 5 or 6 notches, you're not in the top 5. So what are we talking about here? I think this is poor sportsmanship. I think it's delusion. If he wants to do something competitive, compete in the Masters. And then he narrows the gap and he's competing with guys 40 and over, and he's still giving up 10 years. Phil,
Yeah.
you're good for your age, but you're just not that good. And the judges reaffirmed that. And whoever's telling you that you were great, the other guy on that past podcast, man, I'd love to have him on the Sean Ray cheering
Oh,
squad.
well,
He
listen,
didn't do you that guy didn't do you any favors on that interview because he definitely
I'm
was a fan.
glad you brought that up because the interviewer guy says, quote,
Matt.
I had you in the top 6.
He's delusional. Don't
Now,
listen, Phil. You cannot sit there and listen to these guys on a podcast from Canada telling you how good you were, and they weren't even at the show. If you're not going to trust what the judges are doing that are right in front of
See,
you, how are you going to trust some guy that didn't even come to the show
see
who
you
saw
calling
some
me out
pictures
there.
on the computer?
You guys are calling me out there for not being at the
I get
show.
well,
See,
first
so
of
I just
all,
maybe
I didn't call you out. Your buddy Shawn did, but all he's making is a point that you weren't there. But whether you were there or not is irrelevant. We said we weren't there.
okay.
Again, totally irrelevant to the cause here. The
Exactly.
bottom line is this, and I can answer a few of these things
Okay.
in order. I've taken some
Okay.
notes myself.
Okay.
The bottom line is we don't scour the internet for material and different things. We just come up with stuff, and if something comes by my desk,
Yeah.
we obviously look at it and report on it, like you do, right? Like everybody
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
That said, the only reason this got any play at all was because if Matt, see now I got Matt on my head. If Phil had come
Phil.
on your show and said, "Look, I didn't get a good look. I thought I got screwed. I thought it was ridiculous that I was in the last call out. This was bullshit," right? If he says all of that, we never pick it up. And we don't pick it up for a good reason. Who cares? The guy's in, again, last place or whatever he ended up finishing. And that's not generally something we would even key on. However, the reason that we picked it up was because he followed it with all the accusations of politics, of corruption, calling out Tyler Mannion, indicating that this was preordained, that they wanted to get him out of the sport. These are all things he said, right, Matt?
Yes. That's correct.
In context, obviously I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
these are all the things that Phil said. That's the reason I picked it up, and we picked it up because we wanted to make perfectly sure, and this will answer question number 458 on this subject, as to why, as the quote athlete's rep, that I would treat a guy like this and diss him if that's what anybody thought, which I think is ridiculous. And the reason is simple, okay? I have to represent everybody as a whole, okay? I don't represent athletes singly, not in the context, okay? I represent the athletes as a whole. There are thousands of athletes out there, whatever that number is, that are listening to this guy go on there and claim that politics are the reason that he was shown the door, that they didn't even want him around. They didn't even want to look at me. Again, these are things he said. It's my job to go out there and let everybody know that that's not what the IFBB Pro League does. It's not what Tyler Mannion does. All right. We haven't seen politics like that. I'm not so sure ever. We're not talking like the 1970s and bullshit like that. That's another show.
Yeah.
But that's why I addressed it as I did. It's nothing against Phil per se. It's to let the other athletes know, as their rep, that this is bullshit.
Okay. Okay. Well said. And valid points. Obviously, if someone is saying things that, or maybe pushing back against the league, you're being the athlete's rep, you want to, call them out and discuss them. My thing
Sure.
is, why didn't you just contact Phil directly and say, hey man, I see you're not really happy with what happened at the show. Let's talk about it.
Sure.
Maybe come on my show. Let's talk about it man to man. I have you on my show. You can open up and we can talk.
I got a good
Why
answer for that.
why go out in the open and just go in on him and make digs at him and stuff like that as the athlete's rep? Do you think that was the professional
Okay.
approach to take?
That's a great question. The professional approach to take from him wouldn't have been to go on a public platform, which in this case was yours.
Yes.
Okay. The professional thing to do would have been to contact his athlete's rep, who obviously would have no idea that Phil or any other singular athlete out there is displeased. Not that that's unique, obviously. I mean, it's not crazy to think that a bodybuilder thought they should have placed higher at a competition. I think we might both agree on some common ground there. But he could have easily reached out to me. Clearly, he knows I'm the athlete's rep. He's mentioned it 100 times now, right?
Well, they're saying that you're
didn't he
not the
pick up the
athlete's rep.
phone?
That's like they're saying Bob's not the athlete's rep. He's never done anything for the athletes. Is he official?
Well-
Is there official number? Like, is there official thing to do with
First of
are
all,
are you officially the athlete's rep? Is that
I
your
have been the
ordained?
athlete's rep for 20 years now, or whatever it is, probably more, but
Okay.
whatever it is, it is. As for those sitting there saying stupid things, like they're just completely ignorant. Bob's never done anything for the athlete. How would they even know? And Phil said this, and his wife even said this. Again, two people that would have no clue. What I've done as the athlete's rep, and I don't want to sit there and go down a whole list, but I have done things that they don't even have any clue about, for not only for individuals, but mostly for the whole. Okay, for the group, for the federation, in terms of the athletes competing in it. Everybody who competes in a 212 division to this day, I'm the one who brought that to the pro league. All right, so in effect, even though they obviously have to approve things, I was the one that brought the proposal for the 212 league to the pro league. Okay, so I brought that. I brought the bikini division to the pro league. I brought that. I brought women's physique to the pro league. That was me. I've gotten rules changed. I've gotten assurances for athletes. I've gotten the purse guaranteed from the IFBB. I had health care for the athletes back in the day. And we can go into that if you wish, but it's not that exciting. But I've gotten letters that I've written of recommendation. I've gotten athletes back in the league, most notably a guy you might remember named Preist.
Yes. Yes.
He likes to wax all day long, and he's been banned for life, and all, which is complete bullshit. He's not banned for life. I wrote his reinstatement letter, and you could ask Lee that himself. He can't lie about it. I mean, he asked me to help him get back in the league. I wrote his reinstatement letter. I got him back in the league via Jim Mannion's approval. And then he just failed to compete and do whatever. So, but I'm the one who got him back in the league. I've gotten athletes contracts. I've gotten athletes letters of recommendation to their countries to get into the country, as they need. Some of them need letters of recommendation from the federation. I can't even remember half the stuff I've done as the athlete's rep, but they wouldn't know that either. So to sit there and say I've never done a thing for the athletes is not only disingenuous, but it's just completely ludicrous and ignorant.
Okay, I think people don't think you are. They just don't know. There's no official email that says bobchick@ifbb.com, like something that is official out there on the website, on the Pro League website. There's nothing that says you're is that anywhere to be found, or is it just people like, oh, it's Bob, he's the guy that we talk about?
I mean,
is it very casually done?
20 years of coverage, 20 years of magazines, 20 years of Flex magazine, MD. There is countless articles and things that say the athlete's rep or would pertain to it. Now, in all fairness and full disclosure, the landscape has changed, and we haven't had we used to have official meetings at the Olympia.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. That's
Okay.
not happening anymore. Yeah.
No, and about 10 years ago, 8 to 10, I can't remember, but about 10 years ago, we stopped doing that. And the reason we stopped doing it was because half the stuff that would come up, or proposals I might come up with, or not just me, but anybody else, because we did have other representatives for other divisions, because I know that came up. We had those people. We had Jenny Lynn, who was God bless her, who was the rep for the women's figure division. We had Adela. We had Betty Pariso. Okay, we had other reps.
Yeah.
We also had a meeting at the Olympia every year, which was one of those things where it was very official, and they did the minutes and all that stuff. And we read proposals into the equation, which I was the most notorious for giving proposals of changing this, changing that, much to Milos' chagrin, getting rid of scoring the posing round, all kinds of stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, about 10 years ago, they decided that we weren't going to have these meetings at the Olympia anymore. There's too much going on over Olympia weekend, number one. And number two, why do we have to wait 364 days every year to come up with ideas and proposals when I can just call Jim or put in a proposal? Hey, Jim, what do you think about changing this? Or what do you think about taking a look at that? By the way, on another note, just adding to my already too long resume, the current scoring system that we have in place, I'm the one that brought that guy in.
Okay. So do the athletes have any official say, or is it just you giving Jim suggestions and then Jim does it? Like, it doesn't seem like it's official. It goes through the athletes. They have you as a rep. They make your suggestions. I think that's what they want. I don't think they're getting that.
Listen,
I think it's just...
listen, I'm at more shows than probably anybody in this business, bar very few others, right? I'm all over the place. I'm worldwide. I'm at anything from the Nationals to the Olympia, right? I see more athletes than probably anybody else. And I have had athletes come to me with different things, which I've either been able to explain why this wouldn't be a good idea, why it is a good idea, why that's something that we wouldn't bring to the pro league or anything in between. So for that, much like I got into with Fuad last year, the year before, on the same subject. And I told him, you don't need me to go to the pro league. You got Jim's number. Right? You got the IFBB Pro Leagues. You see these same people. You don't have to go through me if you don't want to. I am here to help if my help is needed. If it's not, Phil or anybody, they have a direct line to Jim. Again, to me, Phil could have picked up the phone, called me, and said, hey, Bob, I got a real problem here, man. I feel as though I was being singled out because they don't want old people on the stage. That's, once again, now, just so I'm correct, that's what he said, right?
Yeah. I mean the older guys, the
older whatever. Again,
he's focused on the younger guys. Yes, that's
correct.
What he said.
That Tyler's focusing on the younger guys. That they're trying to phase me out. They're trying to push me out. That was what he said. If he would have told me this in private, I obviously could have assured him, bro, that's not the case. And by the way, at 49 he wasn't too old, but at 50 he is. So they gave him an overall title, which I called, by the way. I called Phil as the winner at the Orlando Pro at 49 or 50, again, whatever he was there. And a year later now, he thinks he's too old and they're trying to push him out. What does that make any sense now?
Those are his. I can't speak on his behalf.
No, but I'm asking you your opinion. He's not here. He didn't have. By the way, he didn't have the guts. He didn't have the guts to come on my show. As they called me and Shawn cowards, and then we invited him on, and then he didn't want to come on. So I just want to make that perfectly clear out there to everybody watching that he was invited on to. We could have hashed out all this stuff. We could have had a good time doing it. And gotten to the bottom line of whatever he wanted to get on, but he didn't want to do it because he was a coward.
I think it goes both ways. I think, sure, Phil maybe should have reached out to you or you reach out to him. I think it kind of go both ways. I think we can agree on that.
No, it doesn't, man. It doesn't go both ways when there's hundreds, if not thousands of athletes, but there's only one of me. I don't know what these guys do every week. I only saw yours because somebody sent it to me, or I would have had no clue about this.
Yeah. I just think the way it's set up right now, as you as the athlete's rep, fine. If you're the athlete's rep, okay, but there needs to be some kind of official means to go through a portal or a website form they fill out officially as the athlete.
Listen,
right? Well, I know. I'm not saying you. They would have to set that up for you, and you'd have to have an official capacity to be able to handle all the inquiries that are
I don't have any problem either way.
Right?
Listen, this is a non-paying job, okay? I've never gotten a cent from being the quote athlete's rep. I know people used to, well, he's a shill for the IFBB. He gets his paycheck to this date. I've never actually gotten a paycheck from with IFBB on it for anything other than winning a show. So other than
maybe there should be. If you're putting on those hours, they have the budget, I'm sure, to pay you something to deal with all these inquiries and people that there should be an official way of the athletes being able to vote on certain suggestions. They should have a form to fill out and say, here's the suggestions that have been submitted to Bob. We're going to have a vote on them. Make it official, like an organization should have. Like it's very casual. I'll just shoot Bob a DM on Instagram and ask him a question.
Here's the thing.
This is a professional league.
They want to know. Here's the thing, Matt, and I can go back to, I'm guessing again. There's too many years involved. 2001, 2002. I literally just got in the league myself. I wasn't there but a year, and I saw that there's a lot of bullshit going on here, man. The athletes have no representation, right? We have no voice. We have no nothing. I am the only bodybuilder in history to try to start a union. And if anybody wants to look that up, there's all kinds of stuff that was in the magazines.
Yeah,
Everything.
you and Shawn were both advocates for the athletes and pushing for it.
Shawn was there a long time before me in the pro capacity, but when I actually put it in the motion. I actually had a couple of meetings. I sent out an email to over 100 and something at the time. Again, we didn't have a lot of these divisions, but it was mostly the guys. And I was setting up to try to see if we had enough interest to get a union. I put my ass on the line for that, for these athletes. This is before there was no athletes rep at this point, okay?
Yeah.
It's just me. And the funny thing is Shawn really, honestly, and even though we go way back and we're as tight as brothers, he really didn't have any interest in it because he had just retired. And he was like, look, man, I've tried and I've done my thing, so I'm retiring now, I'm out. Interestingly, you know who didn't have anything to do with it and didn't want anything to do with it? Lee Preist.
Okay.
Lee Preist. We had a meeting at the Arnold that year, which I had rented. I got in a room from Jim Lorimer to have athletes show up, and Lee was sitting on a table right outside the room, literally right outside, with his feet dangling like a little kid, like on a couch. That's what he was doing. You can ask him this again. He doesn't lie allegedly, so he can tell you the story. He had not big mouth Lee, right? Always speaking up, always for the athletes, all this. He couldn't be bothered because he was only interested in his own self at that point, which unfortunately most of the athletes were. They were either too scared, didn't want to get blackballed, didn't want to upset the apple cart, thought they were next in line, or didn't want to jeopardize their paycheck that they were already getting. There's basically the haves and the have-nots. Okay, so when people say, well, what's he ever done? It was spawned out of that union that never took place, no interest, that we did get an athlete's rep, which I advocated for, and we put Shawn into there as I thought, well, he just retired. I'm still competing. Great. And that's how the whole athlete rep even started to begin with.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, I'm the only one that putting my ass on the line for these athletes back in the day. And you know what? This was stupid on their part. Not to wax philosophical in the old days, but had they unionized then, had we unionized then, we wouldn't be still bucking at $10,000 shows right now for these athletes. We could have had a voice. We could have had a say. But
I agree with that.
Everybody together collectively to have any kind of power, because here's the problem. And I saw one of the other podcasts. I don't know whether it was yours, somebody else's. I think it was somebody else's, where the guy's on there and he's talking like he's some union expert. He's like, hey, you put a union together, you have some meetings, you do this, you do that. And it's like, listen, bro, we're not in that situation. This ain't the NFL, okay? Because the question that comes up always is this, or what? You got to have the answer to or what. Hey, Jim Mannion, we need these prize monies to be $50,000 or else. And he would say, or what? We have athletes right now, Matt, that are willing to go to shows and compete for peanuts.
Well, I think that's just wrong. I think that's uncalled for. This is the IFBB
But you
Pro
have
League.
no power unless you're together and in collection and together and in terms of a unionish type thing and affiliation, again, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You have no power when anybody's willing to go out there and do the same job for nothing. That's what makes a union, right? So we don't have any power.
Well, maybe this union thing needs to come back into play here, and maybe
somebody else can do it.
Yeah.
Because what I did was the next best thing was, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. I'll tell you, I'll work within the league to get things done. I have a very good relationship with Jim Mannion, and always have. I've known him since I was a kid. All right, and that's what I did. What made it not possible before was that a guy named Wayne D'Amelio was in charge. And everybody hated Wayne, and nobody liked Wayne. Nobody got along with him, oddly enough, except for Lee Preist, who Wayne fined him more money than anybody in bodybuilding history. But that's a whole other story, right? But when Wayne was gone and Jim was put in, it changed the whole dynamic. I got put in place as the athlete's rep because Shawn really didn't have any interest in it, and I got more shit done over the next 5, 6, 7 years for the athletes, working with them, not against them.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get like you've done things for the sport and you've put your ass on the line and you've made suggestions and whatnot. I don't think anyone's really questioning that. Maybe some people do question it, whether you brought certain divisions into the sport or not. I've heard people say, well, that's not the case, but that's just hearsay.
That's a matter of record. That's on the minutes. That's on the record. It's not even disputable.
Yeah.
But that said, I don't want to get off on tangents because I've accused you guys of getting off on tangents. So I want to get back to the nitty gritty with Phil and how this whole debacle even started. The bottom line is this: Phil made accusations out there that he wanted answers to. So to answer the question that his wife put out there,
Yeah.
I don't understand why Bob and Shawn even picked up on this. I don't even understand why they felt
Yeah.
the need
Why?
to.
Yes. Why did this happen? What forced them to say this? Are they
Yeah.
puppeteers for something, or what's
Nothing,
going on?
nothing forced us. We have a podcast, just like you do and everybody else, be it small or large, man.
Yes.
But that said, we picked it up because, again, you made accusations against the Pro League, against Tyler Mannion, and again, that doesn't sit well with me as somebody who represents the athletes in its entirety. So you asked outwardly, and again, this is another quote, which I even painstakingly went back through and wrote down the timestamp. Phil Clahar, I honestly wish somebody could explain why. That was at 14:12 of your show. So,
Yeah.
Well, hey, right here, bro. I got you. And I'm going to respond just as you did on a public forum. You didn't come out privately. You didn't say, look, keep this between us. He could have made calls to Steve Weinberger back then. He could have called me. He could have called Ty. We're not hard people to get a hold of. They said they sent emails. I have no proof of that, whether they did or didn't. I'm not saying that they're lying about it. Maybe they sent emails to the wrong address. I don't know what email.
I think they sent emails to the judges or some of the judges at the show.
Well, why wouldn't you just? He ended up calling Big Steve. Right?
Yes.
He could have called Big Steve 2 weeks ago and said, hey, man, what's up? Right. And Steve would have given him the same answer I suspect that he gave him this week, that now he's good with. You're good with whatever Steve told you. That's the guy who put you in last place. He had you in last place.
Okay, and Steve also said that he still thinks Phil's a good pro and should stay, keep doing the open.
He can do it. Nobody said he can't. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you guys just thinking he's a Masters guy. He should just go do the Masters.
First of all, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, let's address that real quick. All right, why do we keep referring to him as a Masters competitor? Because you are a Masters competitor. You went in the Masters Olympia last year, which I called him on stage once again. I was in Romania. I called out Phil Clahar in third place. Congratulations, you look great, well deserved. If you don't want to be considered a Masters competitor, Matt, don't compete in Masters shows.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're making some points in regards to like what he's being labeled as, and I guess it's true he did do the Masters, but does he have a Masters-esque looking physique? I don't know. I think he has.
Yes, he does. As evidenced by his last 3 shows, with all due respect, okay, because again, I don't want to get accused of bad mouthing him when I speak the facts, which is what I'm speaking. He's been last in his last 3 shows. Now, the Olympia, I'm not going to count, okay, because honestly,
two shows. The last 2 shows he did.
Chicago, he was last in the Olympia.
Oh, okay. Olympia.
He was last in Chicago and he was last in Tampa. And let me put a caveat on that. We don't really know if he was last in Tampa because he quit and didn't show up at the night show. So the guy who on your podcast said, I don't want to be, I almost wanted to walk off stage or words to that effect, right? At one point, I was going to walk off the stage, but I said, no, I'm not like that. That's not what I'm all about. I'm a professional, right? He said words similar to that, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then what did he do? He didn't show up for the night show. He quit. So I don't know whether he was last or not. He was probably close to the bottom, but whatever it is, it is. Yes, you look like a Masters competitor out there. That's not a knock on you. That's a fact. That's why you were in last place the last 2 open shows. Now, I submit this to you, Matt, because this is a question for you directly.
Yeah.
What does what he did in Orlando the year before have anything to do with him walking on stage in Chicago?
So you're telling me that guys
No, I'm not telling you. I'm asking you a question.
Well, what I'm saying in defense of that is you're telling me in the sense that a guy that wins a pro show the year prior,
right,
that's coming into a show the next year, usually the judge is going to have an eye on him because he's won a pro show. That's not easy to do. And I know you took some digs at Phil and said, "Oh, it was because Hassan was off, and that's the only reason why he won."
No, that wasn't a dig. That was a fact.
I don't think I think Hassan looked good, right? At that show, he wasn't 100%, and it's Hassan.
By
He's
Phil's
a freak.
own admission, they were tied. They were neck and neck. I was there. Again,
So he had to have looked good to be tied.
So they could have won either. To Phil's credit, he said it could have gone either way. They went.
Yeah, but you're saying he's off, and that's the only reason he won. And I would say that's a dig at an athlete as an athlete's rep to say that out loud. Like you can keep that personal, but I mean to dig.
No,
that's gonna. The athlete's gonna take.
Let me ask you something. Where did Hassan place and where did Phil place at the Olympia?
Phil placed 16th, I think, like last.
Yeah, he was last.
Right?
Where was
And
Hassan?
I think Hassan was a little higher or not?
He was 5 or 6 or 7 places higher.
Yeah.
So that tells you a lot right there. But that's got nothing to do with it. Listen,
No.
it's not Phil's fault who competes. It's not Phil's fault who shows up. It's not Phil's fault what shape they're in. Phil's responsibility was Phil, and he showed up and he looked great. And I never took that win away from him. By the way, in our initial show, we never badmouthed him once. We never called him names. We didn't refer to him as anything, to discredit him. We gave him credit. Phil's a nice guy. Phil's always this. Hey, listen, Phil looked great. Phil did this. We never called him names. The only names came out when him and his wife came on the podcast and started calling us names. Now, that's when you truly know you lost the argument, when you got to resort to 12-year-old logic of, I know you are, but what am I? Or comparing our physiques or our careers. What the hell does that have to do? And I'll ask you again.
Yeah.
What does him being in Orlando have to do with him being on stage in Chicago or Tampa?
If you're winning pro shows, you're a pro that's being watched going into your next show. It's like Derek wins the Olympia. Obviously, he's going to be looked at going into this year's Mr. Olympia as a front runner.
Of course, sure,
right?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay.
So that's all. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Well, man, what does it have to do when he walked on stage?
He should get a look.
They know who
he should get a look.
They know. They may even know if he was in the Olympia or maybe he won.
Should get a comparison.
Some of the same judges might have been there. I don't know because we weren't there, right? But the bottom line is this: when you walk on stage, are you indicating? Because Phil indicated that he believes those things should be taken into consideration when you walk on stage to get assessed. Are you actually backing that up?
I'm saying that he should have got a look, right? If you're winning pro shows and you're beating 10, 15 other guys, and then you come to another show and then you go last. I've never seen that. I don't know if you've been in this longer than me. Maybe you've seen it.
There are 50 examples I could come up with, and I'd be more than happy to look up a few for you of guys that won a pro show, got to the Olympia, didn't do shit, or then got buried in their next show. You know why?
So
wait a minute. You know why? Okay. Because it's a different show, man. It's different.
I know, but to have that big of a variant, there was competitors, there was Olympia competitors in that show that Phil and Patty said, talk to them and said, hey, we think Phil should have done way better than that. I'm just saying what they're saying. So again, that's speculation.
What is their opinion worth?
Well, they're IFBB pros, they're at the show versus, right? But I understand Steve and Tyler judged the show, and so obviously their opinion is obviously more important than people sitting in the audience. Obviously, they're respected judges.
Seven people's opinion when he came out. Listen, you know what my job is as the athlete's rep? To see that he got treated the same as everybody else, and he did.
Yeah,
he came out. He was able to present his physique. He got compared in the initial call-outs, which is usually alphabetical. Right? He came out and did his individual presentation, just like everybody else did. And the judges all sat there, all 7 of them, and they made notes as to where they thought he should get called out. If one judge, thought he should have been called out in that first or his second call-out, then they would have passed that down to the head judge. And by the way, again, I wasn't there, nor have I talked to anybody there. Sometimes the head judge doesn't even judge. Sometimes they just collect all the other votes from everybody else, and they don't actually judge. I don't know the case in this instance, but either way, it doesn't make any difference. Not one judge thought he merited consideration for the top 2 call-outs. Okay.
Yeah, I think he got in the second call-out first, and then he went to the third call-out.
Because they based that on what he looked like at that time. The very essence of politics, and I want everybody to pay attention to what I'm going to say right now. Okay. So listen up, everybody, and hit the quote button. Okay. The very essence of politics would be bringing into consideration what you've done previously in order to get a call out for you. Well, hang on, I don't think he looks that good, but he won Orlando last year. No, that's the very essence of politics.
Yeah, I'm not saying, I'm saying that I feel like he looked better than he did at Orlando. He looked tighter than he looked at Orlando. He put on muscle tissue compared to Orlando.
He looked like he was in the top 6.
So I think he should have got a look. Not saying he deserved to be in the top 6, but get a comparison.
And this is where
you and I top 6 or top 10.
You thought he should have got a look. What did you see?
I saw an improved Phil. That won a pro show last year.
an improved Phil doesn't mean jack shit up against
That's
15 other athletes, against a different panel of judges, different lighting, different everything. It doesn't matter what he did the year before. It doesn't matter what he did the day before. It matters when he walked on that stage. And listen, I applaud the judges for calling it as they saw it. They did not take into consideration that he was in the Olympia, that he won Orlando. Are we supposed to submit resumes before every show?
No.
Hey, man, I
no.
did this the last 3 years. That's politics.
I
man.
understand your point, what you're trying to make
And
there.
you don't agree with that.
I don't agree with the fact that he didn't get, in my opinion, a fair look. That's it. A fair assessment at that show based on what I saw.
So you think there's a conspiracy against?
I don't think there's a conspiracy.
Clahar.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of the judges. The judges are
What do you?
obviously.
I'm asking your opinion. What do you?
I just think he didn't get it. I told you 5 times, Bob. I don't think he got a good, fair look.
But you're not asking.
What else can I can say?
You're not answering the question as to why didn't he get a good look? For what reason?
I can't speak on the judge's behalf.
So you have no opinion on that whatsoever.
Well, what opinion would I have? I'm not in the judge's brain. I'm not going to speak on their behalf. I just think he didn't get a fair look. I think he looked improved from last year. He should have got a fair look.
Why?
If they didn't give him,
man, you're talking in circles, bro. Why?
You're talking in circles, Bob. You're asking me the same question. I'm telling you the answer.
But because you're not answering like a fine politician, my friend. You're just the dog chasing its tail right now because you don't have a good answer.
Well, that's your opinion, Bob. I'm telling you, I think he didn't get a fair look. I think he deserved to get a fair look at that show based on what I saw when he came out in the preliminary and did his individual poses.
That's why I said you don't know what you're looking at, because you said based on what you saw that you thought he should be in the top 6. Nobody.
I think he should have got a look.
Top 6.
I think he should have got a look.
Nobody thought he should have got.
That's your opinion, though. That's your opinion by saying nobody.
No, it's not, Matt. There's 7 judges.
You're generalizing it that everybody thinks that, Bob.
I know for fact.
You know for fact that everyone thought that.
That's 7 judges did not.
The judges, yes, but there's people that also watch the show that have an opinion as well, and they think differently.
Nothing.
Okay,
nothing. Our opinion doesn't.
Just like my opinion means nothing too. Just my opinion.
Either, right? Listen, we're Monday morning quarterbacks, right? Reporting on what we see. What you saw was a top 6 physique. I'm saying, based on what I saw and based on what the judges did, that he in no way, shape, or form warranted consideration for the top, least of all the top 6. But I'm going to put a challenge to you. Okay?
Go ahead.
It's going to be a little homework for you, but that's okay because, listen, we're all working people here. But I did notice you like to put a bunch of stats up the other day comparing our shows for some odd reason, but we'll get into that in a second. I thought that was funny. Yeah. I thought that was very funny. But
it was funny.
I want you to do this, Matt, please. For me, do it for me, if nothing else. All right.
Sure.
For our kinship of mutant-inspired athletes. All right.
Yes.
I want you to take a picture, the 8 mandatory poses of Phil Clahar. Pick a show, Chicago or Tampa. I guess it really doesn't make any difference, but either one. And I want you to lay those pictures out next to the guy who was 6th place or 5th place or 4th place or any of them, all of them. And I want to see dead nuts on.
Yeah, I would have rather it been done on stage, but if you want me to piece it together like that, I mean.
Man, it wasn't done on stage because they didn't have many who were sniffing the top 6. That's the judges. Right. Listen, I didn't make that call.
I know. Hey, so I'm not saying anything bad about the judges, but have the judges always gotten it right? Have they overlooked athletes in the past?
No, listen, I routinely disagree with the judges, and when we sit there and say things like,
so I'm disagreeing, Bob. Is that the end of the world? Can I not have an opinion?
Man, let me
explain. I'm stating my opinion, Bob.
Bro, let me explain.
And you don't seem to like it. You're really pissed off that I'm stating my opinion.
Explain the difference to you, okay?
You have your opinion that people don't agree with. Right?
I was at the New York Pro, okay? I was right there, front row, okay? Best seat in the house. Nick Walker and Martin Fitzwater are competing. They're neck and neck, okay? Can go either way. They got Martin in the head in the morning. They got this. I had Martin winning, okay? I didn't have Nick winning. I thought he had a better physique. I thought he had better shape, symmetry, proportion, blah, blah, blah. Conditioning was on point, right? They were both very close. Could have gone either way. I thought it should have gone Fitzwater's way. But you know what the difference is? We're not, you know who I didn't have beating Fitzwater or Nick? The guy in last place. I didn't have that guy. I didn't even have to be there to know that because that guy was 15 spots away from the top.
Hey, that's your opinion. Hey, I got my opinion. We can go in circles on this.
We can, but yours doesn't make any sense. That's the difference. But
wow, I think it makes sense. I think
It
it makes
doesn't.
sense.
That's
But
okay.
you could have
Phil indicated you don't have
your
an answer
opinion on
to it,
whatever. A lot of
which is
people don't
fine.
agree with your opinion, Bob. It's very clear
Hang
in
on
the
a second.
comments. But
Well,
anyways,
believe me, I'm gaining followers as we speak because
okay,
now stuff's getting explained to them. Okay. The bottom
okay,
line is this: you don't have a good answer as to why. Your only answer is that you thought he should have got a look. Okay. You don't base it on nothing.
yeah.
You didn't
Based
say
off
it's
what I
not based on
saw
the past.
and how he
Okay.
compares in his physique, I think he should have got a look, but he didn't. That's it. We
He
can go in
didn't. The
circles
experts,
about it, right?
didn't think he warranted
Right?
it. That's okay. But the
You
bottom
you
line is Phil thought
you've gone against
that,
the expert yourself too when you thought someone should have won and the judges
yeah.
didn't, and
But
that's
again,
right.
yes,
That's
I've
it
had
is
a
what it
guy in
is.
second and first. I've had a guy in fourth and third, right? We can debate those all day long because it's based on the same and the same criteria. They're at least in the same ballpark. You know who's not in the same ballpark? The guy in
Hey,
last.
hey,
The guy in last.
that's your opinion. Again,
That's anybody's
Phil's an accomplished
opinion,
bodybuilder who's won a pro show the year previous.
which
It
means
is what it
nothing.
is.
Again, you keep bringing that up. It means nothing. I don't care if
Okay.
he's accomplished. I don't care what he won. You know what else I don't care about? Whether he was a Golden Gloves boxer. Somehow we brought that up. Like that should be taken into consideration. He grew up in the tough streets of Jamaica. I don't know. For some reason, that should be taken into consideration. None of that's taken into consideration, Matt. None.
I agree. I agree. Phil should have came on the show and spoke to you. You
He
invited
should
him
have,
on the
but
show and
he
explained
didn't.
himself more so than he did. And do I agree with everything he says? No, I don't. Right? He has his opinion. But at the end of the day, I still think either he should have reached out to you or you should have reached out to him and talked about this versus slamming
I
him
would have been
on your
more than happy
show.
to
Because you
talk to
did
him.
slam him on the show.
I never had any problem with Phil. He could have called me up at any point and said, "Hey, man,
Yeah, you could have
I got a
called him
problem
too.
here." Bro, how would I have even known?
Because you're about to go on your show and say all this stuff and put it out there,
He just
right?
put it out on your public platform.
Yeah, but you could take the high road and say, hey, what's going on here,
I got
Phil?
to take the high road now.
Well,
But
why not?
you
You're the
told them to
athlete's
take the
rep.
high
You're
road.
the take the high road as the athlete's rep.
Mr. Professional didn't take the high road when he quit halfway during the show when he went home.
Hey, that's on Phil. But do you want to play that role and be on his level, or take the high road and contact him, reach out to him, say, hey man, I'm sorry that you're not feeling good about this. What's going on? But you didn't.
Listen,
You just made a show to maybe get some views, and I don't know. That's about
bro,
it. That's what people are
there
saying.
ain't enough time in the day to get to every athlete out there who thinks they got screwed. Or my mother thinks they still should have won every show I've ever been in. Okay, I expect his wife to back
Yeah,
him
but you
up.
don't go on your show and make you don't go out on your show on every time an athlete says something like this and make a video. But like it's a big deal
Well,
for you to take the
actually, you're
whole like
wrong, okay,
an
because
hour long show and talk about this. Like pretty big deal. So you can see how people can.
Actually, you're wrong with that because we called out Martin Fitzwater just last year when he went out on a tirade, calling Andrew Jack, what do you call him, a bag of milk or something? Or he looked like a bag of chocolate milk. Or it was something stupid. I mean, just really weird.
Yeah.
And we called his ass right out on there. You can go watch the tape yourself. No, we routinely call people out when they say something so egregious, so ludicrous, as if the judges have conspired against him because he's too old. Does that even make any sense to you, Matt?
To me, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Why would they have put him in the winner's circle at 49 years old?
Yeah, I can't speak on Phil's behalf or why he says what he says, but I don't agree with him being too old. He's won a pro show the
Nobody
year
thinks he was
previous,
too old.
right?
Nobody
So I
thinks
don't get that sentiment from him. No, I don't agree with that. I'm not
But
trying to
nobody
take sides
thinks
here
he's
or
too
what.
old. His physique didn't look like it should have been in the top. I mean, that's why the judge, and they did it 2 different shows with 2 different judging panels. So you're telling, and again,
at the end of the day, the judges are there. I'm not at the show, right? The judges are going to have the final say, and their experience is going to be way over my experience. So obviously, what they saw, and they took a look at Phil, they thought last place. Okay, I can't dispute that. I just had my opinion when I saw the live stream, was watching it, and I say, hey, I think you should at least get a look by how I get to see him on this fucking live stream. That's all. If you disagree with that, then okay, let's move on. Like that's it. It is what it is. I had the guy on my show. We had a conversation. He aired his grievances, and that was it. You didn't like it. You came on your show. You aired your grievances about what he said, and now we're here. So we can keep going in circles or move on to the next topic.
Well, no, the idea is to get answers to these things, and I think I'm answering.
I'm trying to answer as best I can on Phil's behalf, but I would have suggested that he come on your show and talk to you face to face about it.
Listen, I put it out there to him, and he declined. He wanted to go take the high road and go be Mr. Sophisticated on his little video that he did. But the funny thing is he didn't come out like that. He came out talking like a fool. He made a fool of himself.
Well, that's
talking like a tough guy. Again, talking about the fighting, talking about this and that. Are we really we're discussing coming to blows and shit because what? Because we told you there's no conspiracy against you?
There's no means for that. I agree. There should be no speech like that in this sport.
That's ridiculous. That's childish. It's immature. It's unprofessional. And again, I think this guy's got some serious things he needs to address within him. He's got his own turmoil inside. This is a guy who prides himself on being a professional, but then quits the show halfway. That tells me the guy's in conflict. Okay, he doesn't know whether he's coming or he's going. But the bottom line is, then he's bringing up all these other things. He wants to compare. Oh, you know what? Well, why don't we all get on stage? Bro, we're retired pros, okay? And you want to compare amateur,
I saw that. I saw that Max Marks Muscle or whatever put the comparison video of you guys.
Yeah. By the way, a note to him, because I don't even know who this guy is, but I did see it. Right? If you're gonna put a picture of me at my prime, use a picture of me at my prime, just to help you out, okay? To this guy, I put a picture of me at my prime on my Instagram today, and I tell you what, if anybody wants to put any picture up against that, they're welcome to it, especially Phil. And again, I don't want to disparage the guy. I never had any issue with Phil. But when he starts talking stupid, that's like, bro, don't start bringing up stuff about like when you turned pro and I was the toughest show of all time. And this, you're talking to somebody who competed against some of the best bodybuilders in the world. Okay? Let's make no distinction here, okay? Let's make a very good distinction here. There was no comparison between the 90s and today. None. Zero. Okay, I'll put the 91
that could be disputed a little bit.
Well, again, you might dispute it because you had him in the top 6, but the bottom line is no, it can't be disputed by anybody who has any knowledge or sense of physiques. Or I tell you what, and I'll put an open challenge to Phil out there. If you want to play this game and have some fun, why don't you list the top 5 guys that you've ever beaten on stage, and I'll list the top 5 guys I've beaten on stage, and let's see how that stacks up.
I think it's getting a little petty. I mean, you're the athlete's rep, Bob. You got to kind of take it. That's what I'm saying. As an athlete's rep, I think your demeanor, what you're saying, the verbiage should be a little bit more. You got to be like, sure, you have a podcast, and if you weren't the athlete's rep, go to town. Have at it with these guys.
Did we not give him props in the first video we did?
It's speculation on were you making digs at him. People can go watch it again and see what you said.
Did we not give him props? Did we not sit there and say?
Well, you can give someone props, but then go dig them after to cover yourself. That's probably what you're trying to do.
What was the dig?
Go back and watch it. Verbatim. You were just saying that he's old, that he's a Masters competitor, and that he's Shawn was really going in on him. Okay, saying he's no good and that he's delusional and this and that.
Shawn can speak for himself. He was,
and you're there not saying no to that. You're not saying no, Shawn. That's not right. What are you talking about? Phil's a great guy. You didn't back Phil up there. So you're agreeing with it. And if you
whether Shawn is a bedside manner or not is up for dispute. But the bottom line is there's nothing inherently that we said. Again, we didn't call him any names. We didn't disparage him.
No, he's not calling him names, but
we gave him full credit for what he's done, right? Calling him a Masters competitor when you're a Masters competitor is not being disparaging or anything, right? That's just giving him he went into the Masters Olympia, bro. What does that make you?
He competed in a Masters show. That's what I see.
So he's still an open
bodybuilder.
Well, great. You can compete in the open, but you're a Masters competitor as well, right?
I don't know if it gives you a designation as a Masters, like official Masters. I don't know. Like, is there designations here now that we got to file?
I don't know.
And then Steve tells him that he's a good open bodybuilder to stay in the open bodybuilding. So it's like,
listen, nobody's telling him he can't go to an open show. He is the only one who said he thinks he's being pushed out. He said that.
Yeah.
He thinks he thinks there's a concerted effort to push him out, to get rid of him. And I merely asked, why would they want to get rid of him? For what reason? I'm
on the same boat as you. I have no clue why he would think that. He has his internal thought of that. I don't know.
Why didn't you ask him that?
Why would I ask him that? He's telling me what he wants to tell me on my show, right? He's expressing his feelings, right? And so how am I supposed to talk on his behalf? He's talking for himself.
No,
He's
no.
saying what
You
he's
could have
airing his
asked him,
grievances.
why do you think they're trying to push you out?
I said you're not getting a good look. Obviously, the
No,
judges.
that's a statement, Matt. Why didn't you ask him? What makes you
Why,
think they're
why
trying
would
to push?
I have to go back and see what I said when I was in the interview talking to him? I have to go back
Yeah,
and verbatim and see what I said. I don't know. I got to go back and see what I said.
yeah. See
I
what
think
you
I did.
said.
I think I did respond to him some way when that happened, but I got to go back and watch
No,
it.
not like that. You just again you placated him because he was your guest.
I didn't placate him.
Sure, you did. Saying he should have been in the top six is placating him, bro. He was nowhere
I
near the
said
top.
he should have got a look, and I played that clip. I sent you the clip. I said he should have got a look. I didn't say he deserved to be in the top six. It's a different
Well,
statement, Bob.
let me further your own agenda, my brother. You said he should have got a look based on his past. That's what you said.
I said he won a pro show. It's odd that you win a pro show going into the next show. Usually the judges are going to have your eye on you. They should have gave you a look. That's my opinion.
All right. Well, then you think again?
I stand my opinion on that. Whether you like it or not, I don't really care. To be honest,
you and him are very similar in your thinking. That you think they should take your past and apply it to what they're seeing on stage.
I'm thinking they should take your performance, how you compete as a open bodybuilder, winning pro shows or coming second or third in pro shows,
Right.
and you're coming into the next show. The judges are looking, hey, we like that guy's physique. We put him in first last year. We like his physique.
Man,
he's worthy of winning a pro show. So when you come into another show, let's give him a look, right? I feel like he got overlooked.
Man, they saw that when he first came out.
I feel like he got overlooked. Just like you have your opinion on who wins a show or doesn't win a show.
He was probably in the
so
first.
So Bob, we can go in circles, or I don't know what you want, but I'm telling you my answer.
Some logic to you. Maybe hopefully open your eyes a little bit to how this works.
Okay? My eyes are wide open.
He walked out on stage. They saw him. They know who he is, right? I don't know if they know his background. They really shouldn't even care about his background, right? It would be better if they actually don't know anybody's background, right? But by proxy, they do probably, right? They saw Phil and they went, and they wrote down on the paper 3. You know what 3 means? Third call out. That's what they wrote down.
Well, I think it was a second call out first, and then he went into third, so it got even worse for some reason.
Listen, it wasn't the first call out, right? So whatever it is, they didn't have him in the top 6. We can agree on that, right?
Yes.
They didn't have him in the top 6, correct?
No, they didn't, obviously.
Okay. So at least we're gaining some mutual ground.
Yeah, I'm saying that's the judge's opinion. I can't, it is what it is. My opinion is different than the judge's opinion.
Again,
just like most people that watch shows, like Nick Strength and Power called you out and said, most people watch shows from the live streams, and that's where they're getting their opinion from.
That's not calling
whether
me
it's
out.
whether it's wrong or right. Because you said, yes, you guys did. You called me up by saying I wasn't at the show. How can I make that assessment? I wasn't even at the show. You guys weren't even at the show. Yeah, but you didn't say, Shawn, hey, we weren't at the show, man. You can't be calling Matt out for that. You just let him rant on about it.
I actually.
Well, then why say that, and why agree with Shawn then? Why didn't you ask Shawn that question? Why don't you say, Shawn, well, Matt we weren't at the show. Matt wasn't. Why are you saying that about Matt? Can I ask you the same thing, Bob?
You have to be in the show to differentiate small details.
Call your guest out, which was Shawn. Call him out and say, wait a minute, Shawn, we weren't at the show. Why are you calling Matt out that he wasn't at the show?
I did say we were.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't stop Shawn by saying, hey, Matt wasn't at the show. We weren't at the show. How are we going to call Matt out for not being at the show? It kind of looks like we're hypocrites, right?
Saying whatever he was saying.
Well, there, you didn't ask the guest the question, Bob.
It doesn't matter.
I'm going to call you out on that now, Bob.
It doesn't make any difference.
Wow, okay, all right. You get to get away with it. I don't. Okay.
Right? Whether you were there or not there, it makes no difference.
Okay. That just saying, we got to keep it even here.
It didn't make a difference whether we were there or not.
Let's not be hypocrites.
Let's not be hypocrites, right?
Then don't let your guest, Shawn Ray, call me out for not being at the show when you guys weren't at the show and making my assessment on Phil Clahar.
That's all. Right now, man. I don't have to be at a show in person to know.
Okay, because you're the end all be all because you have so much.
Considered with a guy in first. Okay, I don't need to be there for that.
I've said this over and over again. I thought he deserved to get a look, a comparison. I didn't say he deserved to be in the top 6. Maybe get a look. Just get a look. I said that multiple times.
So everybody should have got a look then.
Right? I thought him in particular should have got a look. That's it. That's my opinion. Whether you don't like it or not, Bob, and you think I'm delusional, or Shawn thinks I'm delusional, it is what it is. Right? At the end
The
of the
guy
day,
in the 12th should have got a look, right? I mean, they should all stand next to you.
maybe he did. Who cares? That would have been that person's opinion.
They're the
Right?
judges,
Just
man.
because
That's the
you
only
don't agree with
opinion
my
that counts.
opinion doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Like, who cares? You're not God. You're not the end all be
Oh,
all
my
of
God.
what people say, Bob. I mean, come on now, right? You're coming at me because I have an assessment as if I'm the owner of the Mr. Olympia, and because what I'm saying, and
your
like, it's a
assessment
big
is way
deal.
off.
Well, yes, okay, my assessment's way off. Other people's assessments are way off. Your assessment's way off on some shows. It happens. If that's
No,
what you
I'm never
think,
way
that's what
off
you
on any
think.
shows.
Oh, you're never
You know,
way off on the shows. Okay.
I've never had a guy in last. in the
You're
first six.
perfect, Bob.
I've never had a guy in last predicted in the first 6. Never.
Yeah, as
Never.
if you thought he would be last.
Listen.
Did you have Phil going into last place into a show?
I didn't hand
Even Nick Strength and Power was hyping Phil up going into the show. Why are these people? Why is he getting hyped going into these shows if he's expected to be last?
What hype did he get?
There was coverage of him going into the shows. Nick Strength and Power did coverage on him going into the show. Why would we think he's just going to be last place? Oh, maybe because he's a front runner, right? Coming in from a show that he won last year. So we have our eyes on him going into the next show. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, though. I get it.
No, it doesn't matter because when he stepped on stage,
okay, then we have to change the whole way of that we judge these things, I guess.
When he stepped on the stage,
people that are winning pro shows are going to be now expected to come in last place in shows.
Matt, it doesn't matter where you projected him, okay? It only matters where he finishes.
Oh, exactly. It's a prediction.
Listen, I predicted, what's his name? Quint Beastwood, right? To upset and possibly even win the New York Pro. He ended up, what, 6th?
Yeah, you were way off on that one, Bob.
5th place, 6th place, right?
You were way off on that one.
And
it happens,
you know why
man.
that is?
Right, it happens. You made your assessment like I made my assessment.
Right.
And
then when he won.
And I was wrong.
I was there in the front row, okay? And when Quentin
and you still got it wrong.
When Quentin came out, I went, oh, shit. He's way to fuck off. He's going to be fighting for the top 5. That's right. I chalked it up right there. You know why? Because no matter what I saw in the previous videos, no matter what I saw in previous pictures, no matter what I saw from him previously competing, made no difference when he stepped on that stage. And he looked like a skinny cat. He dropped 50 pounds in a week. That's what he ended up looking like, right? Now, I didn't sit there and cry foul and go up. He's a front runner. He should be, he merits consideration. No, he didn't look that good.
Based on what I saw, I wasn't at the show. Based on what I saw, I felt like he should have got a look.
Okay.
That's it. It was a casual. It's like that. He should have got a look, bro.
No.
But you're making out of this like at the end of the world in bodybuilding because I said that. Like, okay, am I that important?
No,
that you would take time to make a show about me? So I guess I'm important. I guess I'm important.
You look at physiques differently than how we look at physiques. I think.
Yeah, everyone does. We have our own opinions.
Well, and apparently the judges' opinions mirror mine.
I'm not saying the judges have the final say in what the show is. They're in the front row.
No,
but I have my opinion. People thought Hadi Choopan should have won this show. People thought Samson Dauda should have won the Olympia. It goes back. It's an opinion.
The judges are the very essence of the final say. That's why
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that, Bob. Are you not understanding what I'm saying here?
They're not the final say.
I just said they are. I just said they're the final opinion. It's their opinion, right? They're the final say. They're in the front row. Why would I say that? They're in the front row. Obviously, it's their final decision. Right. When you watch this video back, you'll see I just said that, and you're obviously.
Okay, well, maybe I misunderstood you. I thought you said that they don't have the final say.
Of course, they have the final decision. Yes.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
What else do you need cleared up, Matt? What else can I lend some light to?
That's on the Phil Clahar stuff. I wanted to get your opinion, Bob, right, on some other issues with
what else you got?
Some athletes.
Bring it on.
So, in your eyes, Nick Walker, can he ever win the Mr. Olympia?
In my opinion, no.
Yes. Okay.
It's possible, but not probable.
Okay, and why? Thanks for your guidance. You're telling me to ask why. I'm asking why.
I'm glad you're asking. Thanks for asking, Matt. Yeah. Why? Because he lacks in symmetry, proportion, and shape. And I think there'll always be 2 or 3 or 4 guys that have those qualities at that level. Now, can he win shows? Absolutely. He's proven that. He's a hell of a bodybuilder. He's as muscular as they get. He's a freak. He's all that stuff, right? But when you get to the Olympia level, and you got to stand next to Hadi, Derek, Samson, Andrew Jack now has established himself up in there. Brandon Curry, again, and everybody else I'm leaving out. He's going to have a very difficult time because he does lack in those areas. This is and for the same reasoning, which I find kind of amusing as I'm looking at the prediction shows and everybody's putting their opinions.
Yeah.
I find it funny to me or ironic that Martin Fitzwater would have, should have, and could have beaten him in New York. All right. Whether you had Nick or whether you had Martin, everybody can agree that it was really close.
It was close. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's, again, we're on the same page on that one, right? It was close. It could have gone either way, all that stuff. I was right there. And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Despite it being that close, when everybody makes their predictions for the Olympia, nobody's got Martin Fitzwater up there in the first call out. Nobody.
Yeah.
Not one person I heard. Right?
I haven't made my official predictions, but he's yeah, agreed. I've said that in previous shows that I think Martin can be in that top 6 mix because he did lose to Nick by 1 point. Like it was that close.
I honestly, I think he does now. Now, based on past comparison, right? Like exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. I do think he might warrant that consideration at the Olympia. Now, obviously, it depends on what you look like on game day, right?
Yes.
If he looks like anywhere like he did in New York, then I would have no problem. Again, now, can he sneak in there? Possible. I would think more probable. Because, again, that level is very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, we lost it for like 2 seconds.
Nick's a great bodybuilder. I just don't see that as being the best physique in the world.
Yeah, a lot of people have Nick out of their top 5s. I think I'm going to have Nick in the top 5 in my final prediction, but I agree with your assessment. He doesn't have that aesthetically pleasing physique. There's a lot of other bodybuilders out there, the Andrews and the Samsons, that just have that crazy aesthetically pleasing physique. And then you have the crazy Hadi Choopan and Derek Lunsford are just like, I think are still on another level. So agreed with your assessment there. Good. Samson Dauda. There's been a lot of going on with Samson Dauda. He was supposed to go to Kuwait and then he didn't. Yeah. You know, he got rid of Milos and now his wife's his coach. And then Milos and Dennis James are calling him out and say, she's not your coach. She's just there. She's not your coach. What's your opinion on what's going on with Samson? Is his head in the game? Do you think he can win the Mr. Olympia based on what you're seeing with his progress photos and his video 6 weeks out? From what you see, is he on track to potentially win, or is he going to be like a 3rd, 4th guy again?
I think he's absolutely on track. He looks as good as he did this far out last year, if not a little bit better, which is good. As much as I love Samson, because I've been a huge advocate of his since I met him in the UK years ago, before he was the Samson everybody even knows, I could see the talent coming through very quickly, and he did. And he's got the best physique out of all of them, bar none. He has the best physique, just overall,
structure,
proportion, muscularity, all that stuff. He's a big boy, 6 foot tall, 200 and something pounds. And I gave him some advices, as I like to give out, solicited or unsolicited, to him just last year when we had him on the Olympia TV, I think it was. I said, do you want to be Mr. Olympia? He said, of course I do. I said, if you want to be Mr. Olympia, don't be 340 pounds. Mm-hmm. Best advice I could give him, because he goes up to 325, 335, 340, I think he's even said. By the time he comes down to 300, okay, listen, he's no spring chicken either. He's probably close to 40, if not. Okay. Yeah. The skin has a hard time tightening up after that kind of a loss, especially with a big guy, okay?
Yeah.
His Achilles heel has been conditioning. The problem is he doesn't have that conditioning at 295 or, again, whatever he ends up coming in on stage. So he thinks he's in great shape because he came all the way down from 340 to, let's just give a number, 295, when in actuality he needed to be 285. Yeah. So you don't need to be 340 pounds, 330 pounds. You don't even need to be 300 pounds. Stay leaner all year. Try to get that skin a little thinner. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's got the same problem Brandon Curry has, which is he tends to have thick skin. And you can't do that up against Hadi and these guys at Nick. No. These guys are shredded.
Yeah.
They're shredded, okay? And Samson, and I've said this 1,000 times, Samson does not have to be 100% when it comes to conditioning. But he can't be 90% either. He's got to be somewhere in what I call the 95 percentile. He's got to be conditioned enough. Yeah. But he can't give up so much that they go, he's just too soft. I can't put him in front of this guy and this guy and this guy. So will he do it? I mean, he hasn't done it quite yet. We've never seen Samson at what I consider the 95 percentile. He's been close. Yeah. But if he nails it, Samson is the only one up there, the only one who controls his own destiny.
Yeah.
Because Samson can get what they've got, but they can't get what Samson's got. Nick can't stretch himself up and make himself 5'11". Derek and Hadi can't, again, make themselves more aesthetically, less, thick, that type of thing, or Bonac, or, pick any of these top guys, right?
Yeah.
But Samson can get better conditioning. And that's why I say he controls his own destiny. If he can nail it, you could be looking at your new Mr. Olympia. Andrew Jack, by the way, is not far behind when it comes to that conversation. What I saw in Texas, this guy's for real.
Yes. He jumped on my radar back up into that maybe top 3, top 4. Who knows? Maybe he can surprise a lot of people. I just think he has that same issue that Samson has from the back, like Brandon Curry has. It's just that thicker skin. And man, if they could get the glutes shredded like Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, even Derek Lunsford, do you ever think Samson can get the shredded glute, like the tie-in tight like that? Is that ever going to happen on Samson?
If I was a betting man, I'd say no. And because I think, again, he's not new, right? We've seen him, right? We've seen him at the Arnold. We've seen him at the Olympia. He's an absolute, again, it's my guy. I think he's the best. Do I think he has that ability? No more than Brandon Curry has. No.
Yeah, and he's been doing it long too. So
he doesn't have that type of skin or whatever happens in there, that type of thing. And again, the darker the skin, the more that thicker that skin, like Akeem Williams, that's the same problem. He's got a huge amount of muscle. Akeem can hang with anybody in the world, anybody from the side, but from the back, he's got that thick, Lionel Bayeki years ago. Another great example, right? He had that dark skin, and they tend to be a little bit thicker in certain areas.
Yeah.
Lionel, by the way, on an off note for those historians, that's the only guy I've ever seen who walked out at the Arnold that I saw when he walked out, and I went, "There's your winner."
Yeah.
That's it. It's over. This guy, holy shit. And then he turned around to the back, and I went, I think he's in 5th. Yeah. I've never seen a guy from front to back look. I've seen guys upper body, lower body, right?
Yeah.
You've seen guys with holding water in their legs, or again, maybe the opposite, right? But I've never seen a guy from front to back look so diametrical different. He was shredded from the front. He looked like Flex Wheeler. Lines in the thighs, right? The whole thing. And then he turned around and he was soft. Weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, he had so much potential, Lionel, but just didn't fulfill it.
No.
NeckZilla, Italy Pro and the UK Pro. Right. He just announced he's not. It's been put out there that he's out of the UK Pro and he's not doing the Italy Pro. So, do you think him pulling out of the New York Pro?
Wait a minute. You say he is doing Italy or he's not?
He's not doing it.
So he's not doing either one of them.
Either one of them. So, what do you think this does for him? Like, do you think this is hurting his kind of reputation in the league? That he's got this so much potential, he keeps dropping out of these shows.
Like on the last show, I actually had to say, I'll believe it when I see it. When it comes to Rubiel, and I like Rubiel, he's a very nice guy. Okay, and I've talked to him a handful of times, but he's a big teddy bear. He's like a big Rami, like in that respect, right?
Yeah.
But his inability to pick a show or to see it through or whatever is a little concerning at this point. Yeah. But you don't know what to believe. You can't even put him in a hypothetical or will he place, because you don't know if he said he was going to show up here, then he didn't show. Then he says his company forced him to compete. Then he said he never said that. Then I saw a video of him saying it. Then he said, no, that's not right. And I'm like, well, all right, listen, I'm not going to get involved anymore. We're just reporting on what we saw. I actually saw the video with you saying that the company was forcing you to. I'm sure the company didn't appreciate that too much, but
it wasn't me. Well, I didn't say that, but yeah,
I don't think
you're right. There is a video out there like that does say that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't think it was the company forcing him to compete more than it was that they want him to compete. That's why you're getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like, well, any company would want you to go compete. That's why they signed you. The biggest thing that hurts him is his nickname. Listen, stop training traps, bro. Okay, just stop. You've got enough. Okay.
I think that's unfortunate. I don't think it's a good look that he just can't seem to get into these shows or fulfill and pull in all the way through, and then just he's setting an expectation now for every time he says he's going to do a show. Oh, he's not going to do the show. He's going to drop out. He's going to pull out. It's just not, in my opinion, a good look. I don't know who's in his camp managing him.
No, I agree. He's the boy who cried wolf at this point.
Yeah,
you just don't know. Okay, he's going to go in. He's not. Then everybody does the predictions and things, and then all of a sudden he's out.
He's out.
Because I literally just heard yesterday that he was doing the UK show now.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, so he's not doing Italy and he's doing the UK. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So
And it sucks because we want to see him. We want to see him on that stage. He has so much potential.
he's a freak.
He's
That's
a
for
freak.
sure. He's Victor Richards 2.0.
Yeah, 100%. Almost wrapping it up here. 212 doesn't get a lot of talk. Keone Pearson versus Shawn Clarida. Who do you prefer going into this Olympia? Do you think Shawn get his title back, or is that just a lost cause?
Well, this might be one of the better matchups of the weekend because Shawn did not show up at 100% at the last Olympia. He put on a few pounds, admittedly, and those few pounds hurt him. He had some lines in the back we're not used to seeing. He was a little bit thicker in the midsection. His hallmark is his conditioning, obviously. He's a little freak, right? He's 20 pounds lighter than the guys even in the 212, at least. He gives up a lot of weight. He gives up a lot of size. But, man, that kid, he's put together, right? That was his thing. But he came in a little bit off, and that opened the door for Keone, who normally comes in a little bit off, but he came in on. And he can't match Keone for symmetry, shape, proportion, all that stuff. And even Keone is powering over him, even in that division. So if again Keone, like Samson, holds his own destiny in his hands, if he comes in the 90th percentile, okay, in terms of conditioning, he doesn't even have to be as ripped as Shawn Clarida. He's just put together better than Shawn Clarida. If anybody again knows, I like to harken to the past, of course, but if anybody remembers Edgar Fletcher.
Yes.
Right? This guy is an Edgar Fletcher clone, okay? Some of the best lines and shape and proportions and stuff I've ever seen on any bodybuilder. I don't care what size they are.
That's true.
So he holds the cards in his hand. Now, Clarida can make a charge, but he's got and Shawn's very smart, all right? He knows he went up a couple pounds and it hurt him to take that title away. He's going to come back down. He's going to be 2 or 3 pounds lighter than he was. That'll bring that waist in just a little bit more. He'll be a freak to get on stage, and he's got to hope that the champ comes in a little off. If Keone leaves the door open, then Shawn Clarida will knock it down.
Okay. Good to say. I'm on the same page as you there. I think his waist got a little thicker last year, a little too big, a little too heavy. He's got to downsize it a little bit. I know it's hard for him because he trains like a freak. He's a true mutant in that sense.
He is.
It's hard for him to pull back, right? And so I'm just hoping that he is.
I think he said he was 8 pounds up, if I remember the conversation. But 8 pounds is nothing if you're Quadzilla or NeckZilla or any other Zilla for that matter. But it's a lot of weight when you're 130 pounds.
180, 190. It's not that much. So
no, he's not even close to 190. He's I say, he literally gives up 25 pounds in his class, that even makes him even more of a freak, in my opinion, because this guy's beating a true second giant killer, Danny Padilla being the first, of course.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. If you don't mind, this in no particular order, your top 6 for the men's open while I have you.
Olympia,
yeah. Men's open.
In order.
In no particular order. If you want to put it in order.
Let's go no particular order because we're not close enough yet, but anything can happen. Top 6, almost indisputably. Derek, Hadi, Samson, Andrew Jack, Derek, Hadi, Samson, Andrew Jack, Nick, Brandon Curry. Who am I forgetting?
Martin, if you think Martin's going to be.
No, I don't have Martin in the top. Okay. Again, we're going top 6. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't forget anybody. But Derek, Hadi, and Samson. Again, will probably be your top 3 in some order.
Derek, Hadi, or Samson.
And then that leaves 3 spots up for grabs. Which is going to be Andrew Jack, Nick, and then that's 6. I mean, it could be Labrada. It could be
Baruz.
Do you think Brando has come up pretty good?
If Baruz do you think do you think he's going to get his visa?
See, I have a tough time putting Beirut because I don't even know if the guy's going to be in the Olympics.
Yeah.
If Beirut, assuming he's in,
and
I'm also assuming that Rami is out because I haven't heard anything from Rami.
I think he's out
to indicate that he's competing. So let's just say he's out, and let's just say Beirut is in. If Beirut is in, he kicks one of those guys out of the top 6.
Okay.
I don't think he can be in the top 3 right now, but he can be in the top 6. He can be 4, 5, or 6. He will absolutely kick out either Nick or Brandon Curry, in my opinion. He's an absolute top 6 guy. And if you want a dark horse, I'm going to give you a dark horse pick for a guy that's going to place higher than most people think and could even be a 6th or a 7th, and Muhammad Fuda.
I would not disagree with that. That guy
Not a
has
name everybody knows yet, but let me tell you
No.
something. This kid's coming up strong, and he's put together very good. And I'm telling you, there's your dark horse pick for the highest placing of somebody that's we don't normally talk about. You know,
I agree with that. I'm on the same page with the top 6 that you have there for the most part. I think again, we're far out here, 5-6 weeks out still, so things are going to change. But for the most part, I think that's at least the top 3. I don't know if I have Samson in the top 3. I'd probably swap out Andrew Jack for Samson. I just think Samson.
That's very possible with the improvements in Andrew Jack towers over
crazy.
these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big boy right there. And to me, that's a Mr. Olympia look, right? That look he had in Texas, I look at that and I go, now that's a Mr. Nothing to take away from the other guys before I start getting hate mail. We might both get hate mail if we say that.
Yeah.
So, not to take away from anybody, we know the egos are a little fragile here. The skin's a little thin when it comes to
especially this close to Olympia. Yeah.
But to me, traditionally, that's always been a Mr. Olympia physique.
Yeah. Oh, definitely the way he looked in Texas. I think he was 288 on the finals there. He was 292 in prejudging. And if he can just tighten up a little bit more, I mean, it's going to be hard to beat that physique. I mean, Tyler Manuel was extremely impressed with him, and definitely likes the way he's improved and put on a muscle over the last year. It's a ridiculous amount of muscle he put on. I think 15 pounds.
Whatever he put on, it was nothing but pure muscle.
He was 275. Chris Aceto said he was 275 last year on stage. So,
he supersized it, that's for sure. But I tell you what, man, it looks great. Waist didn't suffer. And if you can fill out a 6'2" frame on that stage, that's impressive.
All right. Well, Bob, this was good. This is sure it's going to, once this comes out, it's going to get a lot of talk and a lot of comments. But hey, at the end of the day, I had fun, right? I don't hate you. As I said earlier, we're all good. I don't hate you. I have no ill will towards you.
Hit me on the collab because I want to make sure we both get some for our small podcast. By the way.
Yes. Yeah, we didn't talk about the podcast. Yeah, what about my small podcast, Bob?
I know. We completely forgot about that, right? The bottom line is I said you had a small podcast. I consider my podcast a small podcast.
Yeah, it is small. Right? Like compared to of course. Yeah.
I compare it to Nick, what's his name? Greg Doucette.
Yes,
that's top right. Listen, I'm not anywhere near those numbers.
Right? No, so, we're both not. Yeah.
It wasn't really made as a dig. It's like, listen, I'm not saying mine's bigger. I mean, I know you took some time to put some stats out there, but I did get 1,000 more views than you did.
Yes. Well, you think you would, Bob? I mean, you're Bob Cicherillo, right? That's right. You've been in the game for a long time on YouTube compared to me. So,
I hope to be in a lot more, bro.
Yes. But, man, hey, I love to come on your show too. The door is open, and I'd love to come on there. With you and Shawn, open. That would be an episode. Okay, just telling you right there. You want the views? Me, you and Shawn.
Shawn likes you.
No, I know. Me and Shawn are cool too. We just love shooting the shit and breaking each other's balls. It's fine.
Well, that'll make one man happy, and that's Jim McMahon.
Yeah. Yes, that's for sure. Jim's definitely going to be watching this, and representing Mutant. We'll have our Mutant shirts on, so I know he'll be happy with that. But again, Bob, man, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely would love to do it again. And
you got it, bro.
Everything's cool between me and you. Okay.
You got it.
All right, guys. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.